Good morning and welcome to the Killik & Co market update. Another week's passed and the headlines haven't really changed all that much. So inflation, interest rate hikes and talk of recession certainly isn't breaking news. It's in the paper, it's on social media, and of course it's on the TV. Consumers generally do seem to be more aware these days, and you can make the argument that this perhaps has a lot to do with the fact that we have almost instant access to a 24/7 information cycle. And we can start to visualize some of this awareness by looking at search trends. So as you can see here, this is the Google Trends data for the search terms recession, inflation and interest rates in both the UK and the US. You can clearly see a decent jump in the searches over the past couple of months, but has that awareness actually affected consumer behaviour? Well, whilst it's difficult to say categorically, there is emerging evidence that consumers are paying at least some attention. The data yesterday showed that personal consumption in the US, for example, contracted in real terms last month, and notably we've seen the rate of house price growth moderate slightly in both the UK and the US. So in the US, we've also seen household savings rates drop to levels that we last saw in 2009, which may serve to illustrate that consumers are perhaps dipping into savings or using credit to support their current levels of spending, given the level of high inflation that we see at the moment. So some reason to be more hopeful that inflation may be topping out can be seen in the PCE data released in the US yesterday. So PCE, or the personal consumption expenditure, is the Federal Reserve's favoured measure of inflation. As you can see from the chart, the data came in lower than expected. The market tends to focus on the core data because it excludes volatile items such as food and energy prices, which give us a better indication of a wider inflationary picture. So all of this is important because it feeds heavily into central bank decisions on interest rates, and interest rates, as we've seen over the past few months, help to set the tone for markets more generally. However, getting the balance right isn't very easy at all. They want to raise rates enough to be able to combat inflation, but not too much to induce a recession, and this is the crossroads that we're currently at. The G7 was held in the Bavarian Alps this week, and so far there's been an awful lot of talk and not all that much actionable insight. Leaders pledged to step up efforts on global energy and food security and to stabilise economies still recovering from the COVID-19 pandemic. One thing that has had the market talking is the potential for a price cap on Russian oil. The G7 is looking to find ways to reduce Russia's oil revenues while minimising the negative impact of high energy prices. So amongst the analyst community, however, there has been a fair amount of scepticism that a price capping mechanism would be a viable solution in practice. So oil has moved a bit lower over the past few sessions and certainly over the last couple of weeks, but for now we'll have to wait to hear more from the powers that be with respect to policy. So as we close the second quarter or the first half, we've seen some big moves in currencies over the past 3 months. The US dollar has been particularly strong, and that's been to the detriment of other currencies. So as you can see here, this is the quarterly percentage changes for sterling, euro and yen against the US dollar. So whilst some of the US dollar strength can be attributed to so-called flight to quality or safe haven flows, a lot of it's undoubtedly to do with the speed and somewhat aggressive nature of interest rate hikes in the US compared to other countries. So currency weakness is something that the Bank of England will be very aware of, because whilst it makes our exports cheaper, it also makes our imports more expensive, which adds to inflationary pressures in the UK. Looking forward to the week ahead. Really is very quiet on the corporate front. So that's all from us this week. Have a great weekend.